Would you believe it? There is yet further news about this podcast debacle with Meghan Markle and Archewell. For those that don't know, Archewell was the podcast company owned by Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, and Spotify, well, jointly they've decided that Spotify will not renew the contract after just 12 episodes have been produced and not for some 9 months, and so it's not going to go ahead. Now, the further news is that Meghan Markle may not have produced all of these podcasts herself. The reason I'm talking about it on this channel is that there may be a further hint as to why they've parted ways, that possibly being a breach of contract, depending on what the contract said as to who was responsible for producing the podcasts, how, and what input, as in direct input, Meghan Markle was to have. Now, this comes from podnews.net, which I understand is to be a reputable news source for podcasts, but it's also been picked up by other news outlets as well, including LBC. But Pod News said that it had multiple sources that suggested that some interviews on the show by Meghan Markle were done by other people working within the company, and Meghan's questions were edited in afterwards. According to this article, which I'll link in the description below, Will Page, former chief economist at Spotify, suggested that Harry and Meghan earned more from Spotify than the most streamed song ever, Blinding Lights, by The Weeknd. So as to the legal angle, it's relatively straightforward. Not that I've seen the contract, but the contract might well say that it cannot be subcontracted out, that it must be done by her and must be in person. And if indeed it did come to light that some of these interviews had been done in such a way that is not in accordance with the contract, then that could be a very good reason for invoking another one of the terms in the contract to end the contract early and not continue with it. Now, according to the joint statement, the separation was mutual and they were both pleased and proud with what they'd produced. But of course, that might just be the public position, and what happened behind the scenes may be a combination of a number of different things, including potentially somebody else actually producing the interviews and then editing in questions by Meghan afterwards. I haven't listened to any myself, so I can't tell you whether I think that's the case. If any of you have, let me know and let me know what you think. But that's certainly not particularly far-fetched. It's certainly possible just to edit in questions. I've previously had to edit something before where it was produced earlier and edit something in to change it. And maybe you can tell, maybe you can't. It's probably easier with video, but that's certainly, even with my amateurish skills at editing videos together, I certainly could do that. Particularly if it's audio, it's a lot easier if it's audio to disguise something because you can't see anything. You can only hear it. So if that is the case and it has been done outside of the bounds of the contract, then that might well be a reason why it's been terminated early. But this is just another report from what seems to be multiple sources reported by Pod News, and so I thought that was an interesting development and twist on this whole podcast debacle. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Go and read the article for yourself so you can see what they say, and we'll see how this unfolds and whether there is any more detail to this or whether anybody goes public about it, which I suspect not, because they might end up in trouble. But there is also potentially some issues about the rights to what was produced, depending on who produced it. And for that, maybe you want to subscribe to our media channel, linked in the description below, with our Alan Robertshaw, and maybe we'll discuss that there. In the meantime, thank you for watching this short update. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.